Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sports Writers Podcast. There they are, the Sports Writers, Phil Stacey, Matt Williams, Nick Giannino, and Nick Kukru. So, gentlemen, welcome. We're here. It's MIAA tournament time. Baseball, softball down to the Final Fours. Lacrosse, what are they down to the Final Eight or Elite Eight or whatever that is? Something like that. Moving forward there. So, a few more games left to go. We're recording this on Monday evening, so we have some results from Monday to share with the folks. And Nick Giannino, why don't we start with you, where the Masco girls lacrosse team pulled off a D2 win on Monday over Scituate.
Yeah, Sweet 16 matchup there against Scituate at home. Good game. They the other team, Scituate jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. We got some feedback here. I don't know if that's on my end, but I'm just going to talk through it. So yeah, they got out. Scituate got out to a 2-0 lead, and then Masco kind of settled in and took control of the game before the half, and never relinquished the lead. Emmy Clark, another great game to go over 100 goals on the season. She becomes our third girls lacrosse player this season to go over 100, joining Maddie McDonald at Essex Tech and Haley Hamilton over at Hamilton Wenham. So pretty impressive stuff for her. She had 5 goals today, I think 4 assists. And just a sound performance from them. It was a hot day. They're playing on, natural grass, which I think was a little challenging for the opponent. It's definitely an advantage. But they were moving the ball well, and that's a good team, Masco. They've had a really good season. They, like I said in previous podcasts, they really challenged themselves with some tough out-of-conference matchups down the regular season stretch. That's kind of helped them at this point, and they're hoping it's going to help them in the next round on Wednesday against top-seeded Notre Dame of Hingham, who they did play at the end of the regular season, end up losing. I think it was 15-6 or something like that, but it was a close game at half, 6-3 at the half. That's a really good team in Notre Dame of Hingham that's won the state title at the Division I level. They moved down to D2 this year, and the Masco coach, Manny Lopes, he knew they'd probably have to go through them in the tournament, so we scheduled that game at the end of the regular season just to get that experience, and hopefully it helps, when they go on the road on Wednesday looking to get into the Final Four.
We saw where the Ipswich girls lost today to Nantucket 9-5 on Monday in girls lacrosse. Gentlemen, any other thoughts on girls lacrosse here before we move on to another sport?
Matt and I both saw a couple of good games over the weekend, Bill. Will, you want to talk about Ipswich first?
Well, 12-2. I mean, it wasn't quite thrilling like yours. I'm not sure. It was over quick anyway. But no, I mean, Ipswich, they've done a nice job 2 years in a row. They've won 2 tournament games. 4-2 now in the tournament under their coach Allison Tivnan. They got a good mix of young kids and older kids. So it just goes to show you the Cape Ann League. For the foibles in boys lacrosse, the Cape Ann League has been really strong in girls lacrosse, right? I mean, you've got. I think Newburyport's still alive out there. Obviously, Triton beat Hamilton, Ipswich making the Elite Eight. So pretty good showing. Manchester Essex, I think, is still in there too. They're a top seed. Yep. They're in Division 4. So it was a nice season for Ipswich. I mean, they started out the year, I think, 2-5 or something like that, and went on to win 8 of their last 11 games. So definitely building for next year, and nothing to hang their heads out about over there in Tiger Town.
And they as Bill alluded to, they lost at Nantucket today. I think I saw on Twitter though it was like a 9-2 game, and they scored the last 3 goals of the game, so they went down with a fight, traveling all the way out there, obviously. And yeah, I think a good season for them. Like Willie said, tough start to the year, and they turned it around. I saw them play Hamilton Wenham twice, who they were ranked, right next to each other in Division 4, and they split that series. They lost to Hamilton Wenham first and came back and won it. So definitely some improvements for that team over the course of the season, and they'll have a lot of girls coming back.
I saw Hamilton Wenham take on Triton on Saturday, back in double header lacrosse that I saw that day, and a great game, back and forth. Hamilton Wenham had beat Triton twice during the regular season, but Triton made some big adjustments, did a really nice defensive job. They kind of had Allison Pugh, probably their best defender, and she blanketed Haley Hamilton of Hamilton Wenham, who had 143 goals coming in. Still scored 4 goals, but she wasn't getting as open as I think normally the team likes her to get. She was dishing the ball off a lot, trying to get her teammates involved. But the defensive game plan worked for Triton. They pulled off the upset. Ashley Silva was the big scorer for them. So they're moving on. I think they're actually playing tonight as we speak. They're taking on Dover Sherborne, I want to say, number 3 Dover Sherborne. So as these guys alluded to, Cape Ann has had a very good run through this thing. You still have Triton involved as we speak here. Manchester, Essex, which Nick could tell us about. Number 1 seed, they're playing Mount Greylock, Nick?
Yeah, Mount Greylock on Wednesday night in Manchester, and I think the winner gets that Nantucket team that just beat Ipswich. Yeah, I mean, Manchester Essex is rolling. I saw them in the first round against Stoneham. They got out to an 11-0 lead at halftime and then just kind of bled clock the entire second half, won 13-2. I mean, it's sometimes it's tough to watch when they're bleeding clock, but they kind of, run it like a clinic, the way that they can move the ball around and just kind of kill teams with their possession. But yeah, I mean, I'd expect them to move on to the Final Four. They've looked really good. I think they've outscored their first 2 opponents 26-2. So they're living up to that top seed so far.
Nick Kukuru, maybe you could share with us some other Manchester Essex news, because there's some other things happening on Monday, and then we can transition into some other sports. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was that?
They're the only school still playing on Cape Ann. Every other school's been wiped out, although some good seasons. But yeah, I mean, their boys tennis team just lost today to Cohasset 4-1, which is a pretty good game over at Endicott. Cohasset was just a little bit deeper today. And then you got their baseball team, kind of a Cinderella run. They're a 5 seed, but they were kind of a bit of an inflated 5 seed with that Fenwick forfeit win. They turned a extra innings loss to a 5-0 win over a team in a higher division. That really kind of propelled them a bit. And, they survived with their number 2 going against Monument Mountain in the second round. And then they crushed Leicester on Sunday. Vaughn O'Leary with a 16 strikeout no-hitter. I mean, he was just blowing them away with his fastball all game long, total control from start to finish. So they're going to play Abington tomorrow night, 7:00, Tuesday night in Lynn at Fraser Field, which I was happy to hear that I don't have to go to Lowell or Holy Cross.
Yeah, Fraser Field, 7:00, not bad. So there you go. Gentlemen, Phil, we were talking in depth about girls lacrosse. Maybe we should jump to boys lacrosse and just preview some action coming up, but also review any highlights that you want to share with us on boys lacrosse.
Yeah, I think the story so far, at least locally, has been Swampscott.
Yeah.
They were I want to say 25 seed off the top of my head. And they pulled 2 big upsets over Cape Ann League teams. Keep coming back to that Cape Ann League theme here, but they beat number 8 Newburyport at Newburyport by a goal, 6-5. Great defensive game and game plan for Jeff Beckett and his Big Blue squad. Then Saturday they go up to Pentucket and do the same thing. Beat they're the Panthers now, right, Nick?
The Panthers, baby.
The Panthers, baby. Double P, alliteration at Pentucket. They beat them 9-8. So Swampscott is bound for the road to face number 1 Medfield.
That's Jeff Beckett's former team, by the way. He coached Pentucket for a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Jeez, I didn't even think about that. You're right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, will the glass slipper stay on Cinderella's, the glass cleat, I guess, stay on Cinderella's foot or not? We shall see. But, they've been playing great. Aiden Bro has 21 saves in the 2 games with Swampscott net, the junior goaltender. He's playing great is sophomore defenseman Harrison Kinney. He's been a monster on defense. He had a big goal the other day. Jack Russo came back from injury, their leading scorer. He's got 3 goals. Cole Hamannek, who's had plenty of success from the Swampscott football team, he's got 3 goals. Same thing, Jason Cotter-Spotty, he's had 3 goals in the 2 games. Freshman Liam Kinney's got 2 goals and an assist, and captain Zach Pierce has a goal and 2 assists. So they're getting a lot of spread out scoring. They're playing really good team defense, and they're clearly playing with house money now, going down to take on the number 1 team in Medfield. So win or lose, it's been a fantastic postseason for the Big Blue, and they have been the talk, I would say, of the area. Of course, there's also St. John's Prep, which I think most people that follow the sport would have been stunned if they weren't in the Elite 8. They've rolled through 2 games. They shut out Belmont 15-0. They beat Catholic Memorial on Saturday 16-4. I mean, these are essentially JV games in the second half for St. John's. They're running out all kinds of guys. They're getting bench players and literal JV players. Lots of run, getting those guys ready, not only just to get a taste of what the playoffs are like, but, getting them ready for next year. They have a great luxury in that they can roll out all these different players and do that. I mean, one of them, Josh Harriman's been on the JVs all year. He's got 3 goals in 2 tournament games. You're still getting premier performances from their top guys at a limited time. The other day against CM, Jimmy Ayers had 3 goals, 3 assists. Tommy Sani had 3 goals, 2 assists. Teddy Cullinane had 5 saves over 3 quarters. So they're getting the job done. The starters are. I would think they'll be tested a little bit more Wednesday against Needham in the. But I think it won't be the blowout that the first 2 games were. By closer, I mean, it might be a 6 or 8 goal game. I don't think it's going to be close as in like they might lose, but they may have to hold off on putting in some of the subs. But they're still going to win going away, and looks like probably a semifinal matchup this weekend with Hingham, which should be a great game. So 1 game at a time for the Eagles, but the defending state champs, are certainly where they want to be in the quarterfinal round.
Good stuff. Hey, let's shift to baseball, where I'm looking here in D3. Newburyport's alive. They're taking on Dighton Rehoboth on Tuesday. D4, Nick just mentioned Manchester Essex versus Abington, 7:00 Tuesday night at Fraser Field. Georgetown from the North Shore taking on Mount Greylock Wednesday in the State's Division 5 semifinals. So, but maybe you guys want to kind of refresh any thoughts on previous baseball, some of the local teams from the past week, and because we did talk about the Manchester Essex Abington game moving forward. But Nick, maybe you want to fill us any more on that game coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I know Manchester Essex will be throwing Ryan Andrews tomorrow, senior. I don't know much about Abington, but I mean, they beat Amesbury 12-3, so the top seed. So you don't get to the state semis by accident. You have to be legit to get to this point. I'm sure they're going to be very good.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other baseball thoughts? Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
I saw Austin Prep this weekend. I was just, I mean, they got a lot of hype, and I thought their pitcher, Evan Blanco, totally lived up to it. I mean, it's very rare. I think Pat Connaughton might be the last high school kid that I remember, covering live that was hitting 90 miles per hour. And this kid was hitting 90 miles per hour on the gun, and just kind of, I don't want to say mowing guys down because Gloucester only struck out 8 times, but they were swinging, they were see ball, hit ball. They weren't waiting for anything. They were swinging as soon as they got, a strike. And I mean, he was as advertised. He's not that big, but he's got huge legs, and he gets some real push off of that fastball. And, I don't think many high school kids have seen 90. I know, Gloucester tried to prepare for him by bringing Rusty Tucker out to pitch batting practice the 2 days leading up to the game. But and I'd say that kid probably throws as hard as he does right now. So it was actually a pretty good comp, but it didn't work. He was too dominant.
Any other baseball observations from you guys, gentlemen?
Willie, who did I see that the kid who won the other day for Georgetown? He's related to somebody from the area. Somebody's nephew, or
was it Lucido? I know they got
who was? Yeah,
he's got local ties. His family is quite well known in Gloucester. Of course, I think one of his cousins was one of the heroes on that Gloucester Little League team 5 years ago, and I want to say his grandfather, or a distant uncle, is one of the Jack the Rabbit Lucido. He's one of the best running backs to ever play for Gloucester. He's a pretty well known name around these areas. So it's kind of interesting seeing that name over in Georgetown, because him and his older brother, I think his older brother's name was Jack, were both really good players for them.
And he, of course, now is a football official that most people might not know the name, but they see him out at games.
That's Joe Lucido. He's a Rockport guy.
Oh, okay, different one.
Yeah,
okay,
I think, yeah. There's a bunch of them in town. Joe the Barber Lucido's, famous barber shop in Gloucester. They're all over the place.
What is it? Are we talking about baseball or Goodfellas, Joe the Barber?
Yeah. There's some territory within the Cape Ann area. We got to clear that up, folks. We understand that. Yeah. Not just the Cape Ann area. Okay.
Right.
All right, that's baseball. Let's just jump to softball while we're moving right along here, where Peabody in D1 still alive. They're in the Final Four versus Wachusett. D3, St. Mary's of Lynn taking on Middleborough, rather, excuse me. And in D5, Amesbury, no surprise, still alive, taking on Wacona in the state semifinals for those divisions. I guess we'll start with Peabody, with the Peabody softball team. I don't know who I'm looking at here. I'm looking at everybody here, but any of you guys want to comment on the Tanners? Matt, how about you?
Well, here they are, right? I mean, caught a break with the number 1 seed getting knocked off. I think I'm not sure if that had happened or not yet last time we spoke, but getting the opportunity to play at home in the round of 8. They brought in portable bleachers and was really great atmosphere over there. They won that game against Newton North fairly handily, never trailed, scored early, blew it up at the end. I think the closest it ever was 5-1 or 6-1 or something before they blew it up at the end. So here they are at the Final Four. I mean, Peabody High's first Final Four of any kind in 11 years, which is one of the longer droughts for all the North Shore schools that we cover. So good for them to be back in a Final Four. And unlike the boys lacrosse, I think, there's no certainties here. I think all the teams that are left are good. I mean, Wachusett, we don't know who they've played. I mean, the state's power rankings gave them a nice seed, but we don't know any of these teams. I mean, they've scored 200 runs in 23 games. That's 8-9 a game. I think they're 22-1. They've outscored their state tournament opponents 33-1 so far. So you presume there were some pretty good pitchers in there along the way, that they're hammering all over the place. I think for my money, this game's going to be a lot about the defense. I had opportunity to watch some of the stream of the Newton North game, and Peabody made some really nice defensive plays in the outfield. They got a really good defensive shortstop in Emma Bloom that made a couple of nice line drive outs. Logan Lamazny's really good at second base as well and knocking the ball down. So from what I understand from my sources, Gene DePlacido, the big field there at Martin Field, it's about 250 feet. So you got a big outfield. So it's not going to be a home run derby type of a game. So I think, if this team bashes the ball all over the yard, Peabody's ability to defend and run those balls down, whether it's knocking them down and getting them in to hold them to singles, whether it's finding ways to catch up in the air and turn potential extra base hits into outs, things like that. I mean, softball so often is about strikeouts and home runs, right? I mean, the pitching, the hitting, all that stuff. It's not that often that a game is decided by defense like that. And I think at the big field with a team in Wachusett that swings a great bat, maybe this game will be decided by defense. Now, maybe it won't be, and I'll look like a fool, but that's sort of my hypothesis going in.
I'm sure you're not going to look like a fool, Matt. That's not going to happen. Don't worry about that.
But we'll just delete this if I do, right? I mean,
yeah, it'll be put in the trash, as they say.
Yeah, right, exactly. But good for them. I mean, they're what are they? The 9 seed. I guess that's not a huge surprise to see a 9 seed in the Final Four, but I think when the very first power rankings came out, where were they, Phil? In the teens, maybe even in the 20s, and we said, well, wait a minute, this isn't right. And they climbed their way there, and here they are in the Final Four. So, and on the other side, we have a 7 seed in Methuen and a 3 seed in Taunton. So that's going to be the those are your Final Four. And if Peabody wins, they'd face either Methuen or Taunton in the state final, which will be this weekend, either Friday or Saturday out at UMass Amherst, which is already predetermined. Interestingly enough, I mean, it'd be a great venue for Wachusett. If it's Peabody against Methuen, they probably would prefer somewhere closer. But I suppose where UMass is Division I, it's probably a nice facility, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. All right, so there they are. Those are the big sports. I mean, the lacrosses, the softballs. We did some tennis, baseball. Gentlemen, anything else you guys want to touch on that is either looking forward, looking back so far in the tournament?
Well, we've got some tennis. We got
some tennis, yeah.
We got three teams in the Final Four plus whatever is going on up in Cape Ann.
Right. Yeah. Masco just won today. Our intern there, Avonlea. It's Avonlea, right, guys?
Yes.
Avonlea.
Avonlea.
Cummings was over there. Taking in that one. I believe they swept 5-0. It might have been 4-1, but
4-1.
they're 4-1. They're moving on to the finals, the Final Four, I should say, and got a win right next to the lacrosse team that was going on at the same time. So that was cool. They're undefeated still, looking to run the table in this thing. Obviously, have a really talented team. I covered them earlier this postseason, and it's a young team too. They got the whole squad coming back next year, so exciting stuff for that group. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, we got a doubleheader with the Hamilton Wenham boys and the Hamilton Wenham girls, both playing in the Final Four for tennis. I think the girls team kind of overshadowed the boys this year at Hamilton Wenham, going undefeated and having this great season where they barely dropped any any individual matches, and they've ran their way into the Final Four as expected. But the boys team quietly had a fantastic season too. I think they locked up the number 4 seed in Division 4 and went 15-3 or something like that during the regular season, and they've swept their way to the Final Four here too. So back-to-back matches for those two teams tomorrow at the same venue as St. John's in Shrewsbury. We'll see if we can get two Generals teams punch their ticket to the finals in the same day.
Pretty
That would
cool
be great.
that both Masco and Hamilton girls are undefeated. I mean,
Yeah.
a few years ago they would have played each other and something would have had to give.
Right.
Now they did play each other, but it was an unofficial match towards the end of the season. I guess they categorized it as a scrimmage, and Masco did come out on top 4-1 in that one, but both teams are very good. And, obviously Masco's in Division 2 and Hamilton Wenham's in Division 4. So they're not going to run into each other again. But if nothing else, good, competitive, match going into the playoffs for both of those teams. And they've been able to carry that into the postseason.
Those Scully sisters are really good athletes. I mean, I know they're both excellent soccer players, and seems like they might be even better at tennis.
Yeah, no, they're the real deal. And the top singles there, Kendall Scully, the top singles.
No, they're the what you said?
The real deal.
Oh, they're the real deal.
Yeah, the real deal. She only dropped a couple matches all season, and then she's coming off the NEC Player of the Year. She's going to carry them. I think they're very deep all around, but that top singles, Kendall Scully Jr., she's coming back for another season next year. So again, they're going to be scary again come next spring. But
The
Tegan,
boys have a lot of
great job,
underclassmen too, don't they? The Hamilton Wenham boys.
They do. Both of these.
Will Gurn is the junior at first singles, and there's a sophomore at second singles, right? Chattel, is that right? Eloy
could be
Chattel,
right.
that seems right.
Doesn't ring a bell, but
okay.
Yeah, they do have some underclassmen as well. A couple seniors on that team, but they're again probably going to be really good next year as well.
So we could have an all Cape Ann League final in that Division 4 girls. Manchester Essex also in that semifinal. They play Wareham on Wednesday at Medway High School. They were the 6th seed. They actually had 7 losses this year. That's the most losses they've had in a season in about 15 years, but they're still in the Final Four in Division 4. They beat Linfield. They were ranked lower than Linfield, but beat Linfield in the regular season, and now they've beaten them again. So, I mean, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for them after they were state finalists a year ago and state champs in 2019. So they're still in the Final Four, even the year that, was a down year by their standards.
Should mention, too, St. John's Prep, made it into the Elite 8 in Division 1 before losing to Acton Boxborough, a very good team. But definitely a step in the right direction for that program. Obviously, it's been a powerhouse tennis program over at St. John's Prep for decades now, but past few years, they haven't really been able to get over the hump. And this year they made a run, into the Elite 8. So well done for that crew.
Have we had all North Shore state finals? We could have 2 in boys and girls tennis, both with Hamilton Wenham. I know the boys could play Winfield, the girls could play Manchester. It was Swampscott North Reading Super Bowl the closest thing to it, if that even counts. I don't know if North Reading's really North Shore.
First NEC. I mean, it's close.
Yeah.
I put North Reading on the North Shore.
Yeah, I'd count that as North Shore.
Well, that was a hot debate in Moynihan Lumber student athlete circles for a good decade or so. Where to put them? I think they did end up in the North Shore.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
There was some talk about them being in that Moynihan Lumber Merrimack Valley, I think, at one point. I think I remember that several years
I
ago.
don't think anyone knew where to put them.
Yeah.
I think we got close in volleyball. I think one of the volleyballs there was like 3 Cape Ann leagues in the final 4, but then it ended up that one team won, I think, and the final wasn't Cal on Cal, if I remember right.
Yeah.
No, Ipswich won it, right? But they beat.
Like Advanced Science or something.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was.
Medway it was. Medway, yeah. But no, I mean, I think the Cal is as much as the Northeastern Conference, and I think the North in general is suffering in this format in the big divisions 1, 2, and 3. I think the Cal is benefiting certainly in Division 4 and in some sports in Division 3 as well. You know, I think I read there was something like 6 or 7 Hockomock baseball teams in various Final Fours. I mean, the South Shore is just superior in that particular sport, you know, and it's been bad for the NEC in a lot of sports. I think basketball certainly, certainly we saw for the most part in the spring this particular year, but the Cal, I think, has really benefited, especially schools like Ipswich and Hamilton Wenham. I mean, they are just racking up the MIA trophies in this new format.
Yeah, and Masco would probably be doing the same if they were still in the Cal.
Well, yeah, but they're the size of the school.
They're the same size though.
Yeah,
that's
true.
the thing. You know, they being in Division 2, you know,
Ipswich too, though. I mean, they won one title. They went to the final in another. They've had a good year.
Who's that?
Ipswich.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, Ipswich and Hamilton Wenham have been racking the MIAA trophies because you get a trophy for the Final 4 now too, which is, you know, new-ish. I mean, you used to get a trophy for the North section, right? So they sort of give you a trophy for the Final 4 now to kind of replicate that.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Have we talked about that before? I don't know.
I was honestly a little surprised when I saw these teams posting, you know, pictures with the banner going to the Final 4, but I don't have a problem with it. I think that's well deserved. You know, I mean, like Willie said, you get the.
I'm sorry, Nick.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, you had for years you had these sectional trophies and banners and everything. This is the same, you know, level in the tournament, the same point. So it makes sense.
You could even say it's even more meaningful with a statewide tournament with getting to the Final 4 than winning a sectional, a North sectional, South sectional. In some cases,
been the same, though. It really hasn't. I feel like those Final 4 celebrations have not been nearly as, you know, intense and
no, that's true.
North sectional celebrations. I feel like, you know, when teams get in these Final 4 banners, it's like, oh, we have a ceremony right now. All right, let's just go through the motion.
I think you're right. Like you knew in a North final that somebody was going to be crowned a champion. Now it's almost kind of like, oh, really? Oh, okay. And there's not that genuine excitement that comes with it.
Well, technically, it was my idea. I think in 2017 and 18, I wrote in my girls' hockey column, hey, how come Masco doesn't get a trophy when every other Final 4 team in the state gets a trophy? So they still owe Masco 2 Final 4 trophies. You know, it's nice that 5 years later, they've decided this was a wonderful idea. But that's all in the archives. That's true. I did write that.
But going back to Phil's original point, it's the same number of trophies that were given out before. It's just instead of being a North trophy or a South trophy or whatever, it's Final 4. So big trophies not winning big here, you know, in this whole thing, right?
No, and if you do think of it, say like if you equate it to like March Madness, I mean, they cut down the nets when somebody wins a regional.
Yeah.
Is there a trophy given out?
I don't think they give out trophy. Maybe for winning the semifinal game to get into the title game.
Yeah.
You know what? I can tell you just from experience, when I was at the NCAA Super Regional for baseball in Division 3, the team that beat Endicott from Ohio, they got a trophy at the end of that to go to the College World Series. There was a trophy that, you know, regional champs or whatever. And I want to say when I was at Maine, you got a trophy for making the Frozen Four. Now, they didn't actually give it out. They just sent it to the school later, and they put it on display. I think there's a couple of those at Salem State as well from Division 3.
Yeah, there are a couple of Salem
Fours. So I think they give them out, but they kind of just send it to the school to display later. I don't think they like parade around with it on, after the game type of thing. But
those schools won something. I mean, now you're just like, oh, you're just one of the 4 teams left. There's no, they won the super regional, they won the sectional. This, you just won 3 rounds of the tournament. You didn't really win a championship or anything.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they could name these things. I guess that might get kind of complicated, and stuff. But you're kind of like we have the Lynch and the Dunn. Find some famous folks to name the different brackets after, or something like that. Maybe
The Ventura Wrestling Final Four.
There you go.
yeah, maybe, that's the thing. With so many divisions, it would get so complicated, right? 5 divisions, you need 20 names in every sport. I mean, that gets, like baseball, Division 3, you could have the Carey bracket and the Pettingill bracket and the DeFelice bracket, and I don't know, somebody from South Shore for the other one thing.
Well, I'm not sure these are great ideas. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know whether these are great ideas or not.
Well, it's not going to be a Newell bracket then.
We're trying.
No.
Yes,
No, I mean,
the podcast, and we're just spitballing.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with the Final Four trophies, to be quite honest with you. I think it's an accomplishment, and I think it's, like I said earlier, winning the North title, depending on when it was, it could be almost like winning a state title, depending on who it is that wins the North title and how they do later on in the next 2 games. But going to the Final Four from a statewide tournament, I think that's significant, so go for it. Give them a trophy.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see. All right, gentlemen, anything else? We got a minute or 2 left. I certainly feel we're talking here prior to the Celtic game number 5. So probably we don't need to say anything about that right now. We'll save that for another night, I suppose. We have talked Celtics on this podcast, but I will just say this: it has been exciting to see them come back. You kind of figured they're going to lose game 4. They did, but at least we're here for game 5.
You thought they would lose game 4?
What?
I thought they would. I thought they would.
You thought they would lose game 4?
Mm-hmm.
Like they lost game 2, the same deal.
Yeah.
Oh.
So by that logic, do they turn around and win, as we're talking tonight, Monday night?
I'm going to go on record and say I think the Warriors win tonight. I know people are going to be watching this tomorrow, so we'll see if it stands true. I think they're going to be the first to get 2 in a row here, and then the Celtics come back home, win game 6, and then we go to a game 7. But it's such a hard series to predict. It really is. Just strictly with how the Celtics perform from a game-to-game basis. I mean, when they're at their best, they can beat the Warriors, no problem. Well, not no problem. I shouldn't say that, but they can beat anyone when they're at their best. But they have their flaws, and it's coming to light in the finals here. So we'll see. By the time our next podcast comes around, they're either going to be champions or the Warriors are going to be champions.
See, I'll go out. I'll pick the other way. I'll say the Celtics win on Monday night in game 5, and if I'm wrong, everybody will say, well, he's an idiot anyways, whatever, what do we expect?
It's tough to win when your best player is not your best player, really, no matter what the sport is.
Yeah.
And Curry is, rising up for Golden State, obviously coming off a 43-point game. I actually thought he made just a big influence with his rebounding. He was going in there and getting caroms and, starting to break the other way, and Tatum just has not been that player for Boston. Not to say he can. I mean, he could come out tonight and light it up.
Yeah.
But they need him to be better to get 2 more wins in this series.
I agree.
We couldn't help ourselves. There you go. Gentlemen, we'll stop there, and we'll talk again soon.
See you guys.
Bill.
Great stuff. Have a great week, and we'll see you very soon here on the Sports Writers Podcast.